Hello everybody and welcome to a video I'm very excited to be recording for all of you live on Twitch and not live on YouTube. I wasn't going to do this, but this is a look back at the Edge of the Earth player cards 1 year later. So with the Scarlet Keys recent hype ranking I did, my thought process was I wanted to see how my thoughts and opinions may have changed over a year of playing with the cards. Because I think one of the best things about Arkham Horror, the card game, is the fact that you can continually make new discoveries, which make cards that you otherwise thought were not good, great, and otherwise cards that you thought were great to be kind of just fine. Which is really fun and exciting. So I'm not doing this in the traditional like tier list, like S, A+, A, because I feel like this is a bit more... really this is S, A+, A, B, C, D, right? Like, really it is, but it just has different names to kind of better fit where they are. Because the reality is, in Arkham Horror, the card game, I was just saying this to chat before I started recording, there are no cards that are, like, just, like, outright... There's some cards that are just, like, outright bad, but the majority of the cards, if not, like, 98% of them, of this player cards, have a home at this point. So... when I'm going to be talking about my ratings here, I'm going to be respecting the I'm going to be respecting where the card has a home, but also just the general power level of the card as well. Because I do think that even if the card is really good in a certain archetype, it being unless that card like literally makes you win the game the turn you play it in that archetype, I still think the card is overall only gonna be like great or like good, just by the very nature of the fact that basically like when you look at these choices, this is gonna be the amount of time you're likely going to play the card and not have it take space in your storage box or binder, apart from maybe busted because you might get sick of it. So let's talk about our ranking levels before we dive into this. This is also going to be probably a very long video, so grab some popcorn. I know YouTube, you love the long videos, so that's for you. Busted. I'm going to just, like, get right to the point. We know what... I'm not even going to wait for its time. We're not even going to wait for it. We're just going to be grabbing Cyclopean Hammer, and we're putting it in the busted category. This is the only one I'm going to be doing right off the bat, because everyone knows... that Cyclopean Hammer is a very good... everyone except for Bryn knows that Cyclopean Hammer is a very, very pushed card. Its power levels are so insane that it kind of just invalidates other strategies. So to me, that is what the busted tier is. It invalidates other strategies to the point where that you have to actively go out of your way to not play it. Because it's just so good. There is a great story from one of our Patreon Epic multiplayer days where somebody was gifted, it might be Superfang. Superfang was gifted a Cyclopean Hammer, and it just basically trivialized the rest of their deck, and they didn't get to do their cool spell slinging stuff that they wanted to. Also, I see in chat, I'm not going to be talking about any taboo with any of these changes. These are just the cards as printed. So I'm talking about just them as they were. So Fantastic, the next level, these are cards that are really, 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 really good and really efficient. They don't push other cards out like Busted does. I think that Fantastic cards are very strong cards that are also just very fair for what their cost is. And I think that's a good spot for... we're going to see a good chunk, a small chunk of cards here. Great cards, I think, are... great cards are cards that obviously excel really well, but don't get the level of efficiency that Fantastic cards do. We're going to see a lot of cards, I imagine, in the great tier. Good cards are cards that are good. Who would have thought? Cards that don't exactly like do anything big and flashy, but are just... they do their job... and they ask for a reasonable amount to get that job done. I imagine we're going to see the majority of the cards in Edge of the Earth in the good tier, just so we can buckle up and prepare for that. Astute Dunspar's 9 months at the Golden Table. Thank you for your continued support. Poggy Woggy to you as well. I really appreciate that. Fine are cards that I think that this is going to be the tier when I put cards in Fine. People are going to yell at me. remember that this is just my own opinions, and you have your own opinions as well playing Arkham. And fine are just kind of cards that I think are below rate. They're not bad, but they're kind of just like, I don't really enjoy playing them. And then the last tier is I regret playing this. These are the cards that I think are the closest that we can call to bad in Edge of the Earth. And these are the cards that I think, while they aren't, they're not bad because they do have a home. I have never had success with them, and I've never seen anyone I play with having success with them. Spoiler alert, there's probably not going to be many cards in this. I actually can think of only like 2 off the top of my head that I'm going to be putting in here. So, with all the categories out of the way, let's dive in with our first card, which is Geared Up. Asset, talent, permanent, limit 1 per deck, purchase a deck creation. Force, when your first turn the game begins, play any number of item assets from your hand, reducing the cost of each by 1. During this turn, you have 3 fewer actions to take. Okay, so Geared Up is a good card, and it became great once you had once the backpack ruling was made official. So with backpack, you can play cards. With the backpack ruling, you can now play cards from your backpack like you could with Ever Vigilant, because it's at 1 at a time. It doesn't say 1 at a time, but they really mean 1 at a time. So I think, honestly, like, we're going to start in great, and we're going to talk about, can this card go into the fantastic tier? And I think reasonably it could potentially, because you can get a lot of value out of it. I do think that with certain investigators who are very asset hungry, this is a fantastic card. And I do think that overall, though, I'm going to put this in the great tier. I don't think it's, to me, a fantastic item. Like, I've seen Bryn get, I've seen Bryn get, I think recently in a playthrough, he got like, I think 7 items out, and it was impressive, but, well, I wasn't blown away by it, right? I think it's a great effect, but I don't think it's like a fantastic effect. I think that it's just like, because like then you just have the items and you're like, so now what do? I guess I draw cards because my hand is empty and there's nothing for me to do. So yeah, we're gonna be going with. I think we're gonna go with great. I think it's I was pretty like when I first was in my reviews. I do remember I was pretty soft on the card, but I do think it's now a great card. I think it's really good. Okay, next up we got Toe to Toe. This is a tactic spirit event. 0 cost, fight. This attack deals +1 damage and is automatically successful. As initial cost to perform this attack, the chosen enemy makes an attack against you. What is one of the best things you can do in this game? Free damage! Great card. I think it's a great card. I think this card goes above the good just because it asks very little from you. It asks, like, legitimately for just an action and, like, a horror and a damage to kill an enemy without making a test. It's also... it's automatically successful, so you can also commit cards to it because it's automatically successful. It's a very strong effect, but I don't think it's fantastic. I think it's a great card, though. Get Behind Me. Fast. Play during any lightning bolt window. Until the end of the phase, whenever an enemy would attack another investigator location, it attacks you instead, then engages you. Cancel 1 horror dealt by each attack made in this way. So I think this card has a lot of good stuff going for it. It allows for a lot of cool tricks. It saves actions, and because it can be played during any lightning bolt window, you can do things like play it in the enemy phase. So, for example, if an enemy with prey only would attack someone, you can then grab the enemy from them, which I think is really cool. I do think, though, that overall, I don't think this card is great. I do think it is a very good card, though. Yeah, I think the card it's a very nice, it's a very good card. Good. So also, like, I know people might look at good and see that there is only 2 tiers below it, but 3 tiers above it. Good is like good are good cards. Good is a positive rating. The only 2 ratings that are like negative are fine, and I regret playing this. Just before anyone says, but this one time I played Get Behind Me and it was really sick. I believe it. Yeah, I've seen Get Behind Me do like great things, but overall I've just seen Get Behind Me do good things, if that makes sense. Gang Up. 3 cost, Spirit Synergy. Fight. For each different class among cards you control, you get +1 fist and deal +1 damage for this attack. Okay. So the synergy cards live in a special world where obviously they do their best when you're playing synergy. I am going to look at that, but I'm also going to respect how these cards read when you have 3 classes. Because I do think that the majority of the time when you're playing synergy cards, you're not playing them in a full synergy deck. You're playing them in a deck that's running some multi-class cards that you can take advantage of. So I think for my respect for all of these cards as we go through this, I want to look at it as if they had 3 different classes, because I think that's like the best baseline to work with for these cards. So, fight. You get +3 fist and deal +3 damage for 3 money. I mean, that's a pretty good rate. That's a pretty good rate. Now let's take it for a second and consider you get +2 and deal +2. That's it's honestly, I think this card's just, I think it's a great card. I think Gang Up is really, really, really good. I think it's a very good card. There's a lot of explosive, there's a lot of explosive potential for Gang Up, and you can just like kill an enemy outright for only 1 experience. 3 money is notably a lot, and you still have to make a test. But apart from like the auto fail, you're probably going to be passing this test because you're going to probably realistically be at 8 for this attack. I think it's a good card. Sweeping Kick. I love Sweeping Kick. 1 cost, 1 experience event, spell, spirit, tactic, trick, fight. Add your foot to your skill value for this attack. This attack deals +1 damage. If you succeed, automatically evade the attacked enemy. Okay, so I'm gonna get my I'm gonna try to like skip my bias for a second. I'm gonna try to skip my bias for a second because my gut says that this is gonna be my first card that I think is fantastic. This Sweeping Kick lives in pretty much any deck I play at this point that can run it. Honestly, I think it actually is the first fantastic. I think it's going to be the first fantastic that I'm going to put here because it asks for like the bare minimum. It asks for 1 experience and 1 cost. And it gives you essentially 3 actions out of the card. The basic fight, the +1 damage, which is like, you consider that to be another fight action, and the automatic evade. Thoughts on MJ leaving the design team for Arkham? Honestly, I'm very excited for her. I understand it completely. When you've been working on the same game for 6 years, that's a long time to be working on 1 game. Apart from a game like Magic, where there is a bigger ability for variety, 6 years is a long time to work on 1 game. And I think that that branching out into a new thing and leaving Arkham behind her is going to be a very good, fulfilling creative process. And I'm very excited to see what she creates in the future. I'm also nothing but optimistic for the future of Arkham. They have 2 designers now that have made some great scenarios, and I think it's all super sick. It's all super sick and super exciting. If you see a Doomer out there, don't listen to any Doomers right now because it's not surprising that someone working on the same game for 6 years wants a change. Like, that's a very long time. I think it was 6 years anyway. Okay, Sweeping Kick, fantastic card. I play it in Leo Anderson, and it's still very good there. Even though he only has 1 foot, his fist is going to be so high. You don't need high foot to make this card succeed. You just want to be able to evade an enemy. It's a very fantastic card. Defensive Stance. Okay. Probably, spoiler alert, the majority of these practiced skills are going to be just fine. So while it is in your hand or committed to a skill test, it gains fist icons equal to your foot and foot icons equal to your fist. I think that these cards, for the most part, there's going to be some exceptions that I think go from fine to good. But I think that Defensive Stance is not one of those cards. If you play Defensive Stance, I think you are going to get value out of it. But I don't think that it's going to be value that really exceeds. It's like going to just be a passed test. And you might be saying, but that's just what Lucky does. But a front-loaded passed test is worse than a back-loaded passed test, if that makes sense. If you have to put in resources beforehand to pass, and it cost you 1 experience, and then all you did was pass, that's less good than sitting on your lucky until you fail. So I think that Defensive Stance is just fine. Butterfly Swords 2, 3 cost, 2 hand slots, item, weapon, melee. Action, fight. You get +1 fist for this attack. After this attack, you may exhaust Butterfly Swords to fight again, adding your foot to your skill value for that attack. This attack deals +1 damage. So, these are the weapons that are often forgotten about in Edge of the Earth because they came out in the same set as Cyclopean Hammer. That would be kind of limiting. It also doesn't help that, like, they read... I do think that the Butterfly Swords read worse than they play. I think they read really bad. But in function, I've actually never been upset with the Butterfly Swords. I think that they are just very functional weapons. However, I do think that it's just a good card. I think that's just a good card. I don't think it's particularly great, and it certainly doesn't even come close to the higher tiers. But I think it's just it's good. Dodge. Okay, the card Daniela wishes she could play. 0 cost event tactic. Fast. Play when enemy attacks an investigator at your location. Cancel that attack. This test then test foot 1. If you succeed, deal 1 damage to that enemy. The reason why the reason why I'm using the words instead of the letters is I feel like the words are just going to be easier for people to kind of just grok as they are watching the video. So, 0 cost, fast, play when enemy attacks an investigate location, cancel attack, then test foot 1. If you succeed, deal 1 damage to that enemy. Honestly, guys, dodge isn't that great anymore. We're gonna put this in the good tier. Like, I don't think it's I think it's above. I think it's above fine. But I don't think it's particularly great. I think it's just a good effect. I don't think it's an amazing effect. At this point now, there's so many other tools to not die. You just let enemies attack you. And I know you might be saying, but Justin, you can deal 1 damage when they attack you. Yeah, just play Survival Knife. That's a fantastic card. Combat Training. Alright, the Composure. 0 cost, 3 experience, fast. Limit 1 Composure in play. You get +1 fist and +1 foot. Non-direct damage and horror must be assigned to combat training before it can be assigned to your investigator card. As a lightning bolt, spend a resource, you get +1 fist and +1 foot for this skill test. So, the Composures are... I play the Composures a lot. I really like the Composures. I don't think they're great, though. I think that, like, they are expensive, experience-wise. And I do think that ultimately... there are better things to do with your experience than stat ball. Because, like, I love making my stats high. I love the Composures. I'm going to play the hell out of the Composures. I don't think that they are on the great tier level, though. I think they are just, like, some of them might be, depending on the values for them. But I do think that this one is kind of just, like, good. If their experience level was lower, I would say they were great. But I ultimately think that there is more you can do with your experience than just make your number higher in this game. And this is something that I love doing. I love the Composures, but sometimes you got to look at the cards you love and actually ask, are these as good as I think they are? And the answer for this is no. I think they're just good. On the Hunt. Fast. Play when you draw an encounter card during the Mythos phase. Instead, search the encounter deck for an enemy, spawn and engage with you, attach On the Hunt to it, and shuffle the encounter deck. When you defeat attached enemy, gain 3 resources. So there's a lot that's really good about this card. Number 1, you can fish out enemies that you want to fish out. Number 2, you gain resources when you defeat that enemy. Number 3, you don't draw an encounter card. Number 4, it costs 0. But 3 experience is a lot. Also, we were recording on Wednesday, and Travis said he forgot that this card existed. And I think if you can forget a card exists when you talk about this game every week, that's probably a sign that it's not a great card. I think there's moments where it's great, like in a certain final scenario where you can cheese the mechanic and absolutely just bully the final boss. But I think overall, On the Hunt is just a good card. Because we gotta respect the experience. Like I said, there's a lot you can do for 3 experience. And I think this ain't it. Now, Counter Training is very good in Tommy. I just played it in Tommy. Yeah, it's very nice. I would say it's great in Tommy. Yeah, I'm with you there, Dice Gods. All right, the Fang of Tirthra. 3 cost, 4 experience. A shit ton of icons. It's a spell. Fight. Choose an enemy at any revealed location as a target for this attack. Before resolving this attack, you may move to the enemy's location and add your foot to your fist for this attack. This attack deals +3 damage. Okay, so this card, I can say that again. The Fang of Tirthraha. This card's really cool. This card has a very, very, very strong effect. But it's fucking expensive twice. It costs 3 resources and 4 experience. And like when you compare that to Gang Up is 3 experience left. You lose the move, but you're probably getting the extra damage. So I think that this card, while really cool and has windows where it's probably great, I think it's just a good card. Butterfly Swords, 5 experience. So fight, you get +2 fist for this attack. After this attack, you may fight again, adding your foot to your skill value for that attack. If both attacks are successful, you may exhaust Butterfly Swords to have the second attack deal +1 damage. I think it's a great weapon. I'm going to put this in the great. And I'm not going to like humor people who say, but it's... I don't think it's busted. I don't think it's fantastic. I think it's a great 5 experience weapon, though. It has a very good damage output. If you are playing a deck where you want to fish for an Elder Sign and you're a combat player, this is a really good option for you. Like I could see like Zoe liking this because she gets +4 for the attack, right? Well, she gets +2 and then +2 again. And I think that with Zoe, you want to fish out that Elder Sign. So like this is a weapon where you are okay with making a lot of attacks. Sure, you're going to fail some of them, but you're also going to fail, like, that's not a reason to not play Butterfly Swords. And, it's very efficient in terms of, like, drawing Elder Signs or, like, being able to take advantage of doing multiple attacks. I don't think it's a fantastic card, but I do think it's a tier above its lower level counterpart. Okay, Secret Cards. Force Learning. Permanent. Limit 1 per deck. Purchase a deck creation. Increase your deck size by 15. During each upkeep phase, instead of drawing 1 card, draw 2 cards and discard 1 of them. Okay. I've played Force Learning, and it has its uses. Where, like, I think it was Super Fang again. Super Fang just comes into all my stories. Is that it was a Will Yorick versatile Force Learning deck, and it was fine. Getting to choose 1 of 2 cards is a good thing, right? It is nice. It is good. If you have Red Recursion, yeah, as Dice Gods is saying, it becomes better. But I don't think the effect is particularly great. I don't think it's fine. I think it's just good. I mean, honestly, it could live here. I've never been impressed with Force Learning, but I do think I've been more impressed with Force Learning than I have been with... You know what? I'm going to follow my gut. I think I'm going to put it in the fine tier. I think overall, the effect is just kind of there. I I'm not even like that bothered by the turns where you draw 2 cards and one of them is a weakness and then you have to draw the weakness and then you discard the other one. I do think that's just like basically drawing a weakness. It's not too bad. It doesn't feel too bad. I think, yeah, it's just another neat way to play, but I don't think it's particularly an impressive way to play. I think that's the best way. What happens when you draw 2 weaknesses? You draw both of them, baby. You get them both. All right. Jeremiah Kirby. Ah, Jeremiah. Oh, died for sleight of man's sins. 4 cost, you get +1 book. After your enters play, choose even or odd, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, draw each card with the cost that matches the chosen option, and shuffle the remaining cards into your deck. I think the best way that we can talk about poor Mr. Let's see if I can fish this up quickly. See if I can find it without having to take too long. Here it is. I think this is how we can like perfectly sum up how this was going. It's Jeremiah Kirby was a very fun change up for playing Dr. Milan. And I do think that obviously if you built a deck around Jeremiah Kirby, he became a lot better, right? But I've played even decks and odd decks with Jeremiah Kirby, and I do think that the effect, while good, was by no means like busted or even fantastic, I don't think. I think Jeremiah Kirby is a great card, but I don't think it's like where it is, right? Like, yellow has so many ways to draw cards. I think it's pretty minor that I think they just were like, we want to get rid of we really want to like nerf the enters play effects. We just want to get rid of them because of Sleight of Man. Yeah. I think it's a good card. Great even. Okay, this card is it's fine. It's the level 0 version. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. So we're just gonna put it in fine and keep it going. We're not gonna spend time talking about the level 0. We're not gonna do that. Written in the Stars. 1 cost, Insight, fast. Play only during your turn. Discard the top card of your deck. If that card is a weakness, shuffle it back into your deck. Otherwise, for the remainder of your turn, while the card is in your discard pile, commit it to each eligible skill test you perform. I saw Travis play this in an Amanda deck, and it is just fun. It is really good with Norman. It's really good with curving. With Norman. What was I going to say? With gambling. If you like gambling, yeah. Sorry, there's a lot. I was reading chat and the things were going crazy in my head. But it's very good if you like to, if you're Norman Withers, obviously. It's fun if you want to gamble, but overall I think the card's just fine. I think it's just a fine card. I don't think it's like particularly good. I think it's just kind of fun. I played it in Min, and it never hit well, but it was still fun to play. I mean, it's not that bad for 1 cost to get 3 skill cards for a test, essentially, like 3 free skill cards, but I think I agree with what Lord Blink says. It plays worse than it reads. I agree with that. You have this dream where you're like, I'm going to get my deduction and take 3 deductions. No, that never happens. Hiking Boots. The power level 0 card should just be good on average, so that's fine. Yeah, I agree. I can agree with that. +1 foot. After your last clue is discovered from your location, exhaust it, move to a connect location with at least 1 clue, or to a connecting unrevealed location. I've played these cards a few times. There is a lot of... I remember there's a lot of discourse about this card being, like, bonkers. I think the card, I've never been impressed by it that much. I think it's a good card, obviously. I think it's like, there's nothing bad about this card. But it's just kind of... I think it leads to a very weird, it can lead to a weird play pattern where you end up just like not ever using the bottom ability just because of how the way the cookie crumbles. But I don't think it's bad by any means. Yeah. I think it's just a good card. Not great, just good. Join the caravan. Fast. Play only during your turn. Reduce the cost of this card by 1 for each different class among cards you control. Move to any revealed location. 5 cost. So we're going to go that 3 thing again. Where we reduce the cost by 3. So it's going to be 2. Move to any revealed location. This card's very good in the Unspeakable Oath. Obviously very good there. I think the card's just good, though. Free, like, big bursts of movement obviously have their homes where they become great, right? But I do think that, honestly, those moments are, like, few and far between. And obviously, like, when you get the perfect move that makes you win the game, the feeling's fantastic. But I think overall, we remember those moments and not where it's just like you committed this for a book and you paid 1 experience for a book symbol. And that's not great. But it's good. It's a good card. By no means bad. Survey the area. While it is in your hand or committed to a skill test, it gains book icons equal to your foot and foot icons equal to your book. I think that this is one of the better versions of the practice skills. Because it allows the Seeker to evade an enemy if needed. Is that better than fine? What are the other ones? Oh, Savants. No, so yeah, the Savant is the green one of that. This one is that one, and then the red one is the Brain and Fist. I think I am going to put this one in the good. I think this one is on the good side of things. I think this one is pretty... It's good. It's a good card. I think it has its uses, and overall, you're going to use this one more than you're going to use this one. Yeah, I just think so. That's how I feel it, and it's how, like, this... And then pulling this with practice makes... I don't think you can play this with practice makes perfect. Who's the practice character? It is Amanda. Amanda's a practice character. Is that right? Yeah, because it doesn't have icons when it's in your deck. When you're searching the cards, it doesn't have the icons. It's only when it's in your hand or committed to a skill test. You can search for it and add it to your hand, but you can't commit it, I think. That also maybe sounds right. I think it's good, though. I think it's good. All right, medical texts. I mean, that's all you can say, right? All you can just say is whoops to that. Because that's all I pull whoopsies all the time in this game. I mean, you know that, chat. I play this every week for you. I whoopsies like crazy. 2 cost, 2 experience, takes up a hand slot. Action, choose an investigator location and test book 2. If you succeed, heal 1 damage to that investigator. 2 damage instead if you succeed by 2 or more. If you fail, you must either exhaust medical text or deal 1 damage to that investigator. I don't want to talk about the nuance of healing. But I'm going to put this in the fine category. I think even though healing... that healing is a much better in Edge of the Earth, I don't think this is one of them. I don't think this is one of them. Unearth the Ancients. Oh, no. Oh, no. 0 cost, 2 experience, insight, investigate. Choose up to 2 Seeker assets in your hand. The difficulty of this test is equal to the combined cost of the chosen assets. If you succeed, put the chosen assets into play 1 at a time for each relic asset put into play by this ability. Draw 1 card. Okay. So this card is obviously better than Unearth the Ancient 0 because it has 2 more experience. We're going to start there. I think that's just a nice place to start. It also actually gives you the clue. It also actually gives you the clue for it. It can put 2 assets into play while giving you a clue. And if they're relics, you get a draw card. I think this card reads good. But I think it's ultimately just fine. I think it's ultimately just fine. And do you want to know how I know this? Because I played an Ursula deck where I was going to upgrade my basic level 0 Unearth the Ancients into the upgraded versions, and I just never did because the card's not great. Yeah, I think it's just I think Astute Dunsparce is right. I think it also makes this trap where you're like, I need to do this with my relics, but I think reality is you just gotta do it with your Seeker assets. I would love to put this card here, but this feels very wrong to me. It is action compression, as Tasty Toast says, but honestly, I think most of the assets you want to play, like, I don't know, a fucking magnifying glass, is just already fast. Right? I think that it's just not a... I think it's on the fine level. I think it lives down here. Scientific Theory. Fast. Level 1 Composure and Play. You get +1 book, +1 fist. Non-direct horror must be assigned to Scientific Theory. Yada, yada, yada. Spend a resource. Get one of the listed stats. Obviously, this is great in Joe. But I do think this is still just good. I think it's still just good. Like all the others. Okay, we're now on to the conduits. I'm going to be completely honest. I have not played these cards. I have not seen these cards be played. A big part of this is just that I think... No, Tasty Toast doesn't like canceling things. Tasty Toast is the opposite. Tasty Toast likes canceling cancel effects. I've never seen these played, and I think the big part is that I just don't like the research stuff in yellow, just like snoozy. They're kind of snoozy. I do have some input though from intel from Travis, so I'm gonna have Travis in the back of my head kind of talking me through these. So, choose an investigator and enemy with a ley line. That investigator moves to that location. You remove. Choose an investigator and enemy with a ley line at a revealed location. So you move them to a non-elite enemy. You may remove that ley line to deal 1 damage to that enemy. So this moves 2 enemies. So let me look at them all. So we have the enemies, the revealed location. I know the revealed location one is really good. So we're going to grab the revealed location one, the Gateway to Acheron. And I'm going to put that in the great tier. I don't think it's fantastic because it costs 4 experience and 4 money. And I just think that there's a lot of work for it. You only get 1 in your deck, 4 experience. I don't think it's fantastic. This is also because I've never seen it. I'm going off just like what Travis told me. And I think Travis said the card's great. He might have said the card is fantastic, but I don't remember that. Choose an investigator, engage with an enemy with a ley line. That investigator disengages that enemy and moves to a connected location. Honestly, I think the other ones are I'm just gonna put them in the good tier. I think I'm just going to put the other ones in the good tier. I don't know enough, and I'm very sorry that I'm kind of just phoning in the archives, but that's just the reality of the situation here. Sue me. I gotta go to jail. I gotta go to Arkham Content Creator Jail for that. Okay. Alright, the Prophesy Profana. 4 cost. 5 experience. Item, relic, tome. While you're not at the locus, you get +1 book and +1 foot, and you may ignore attacks of opportunity. After it enters play, choose a reveal location. This location is the locus until it leaves play. Action. Move any investigator to the locus. So this is going up into Busted. And it's going up here for a different reason than the Cyclopean Hammer. Just because it avoiding attacks of opportunity is kind of stupid. It allows you to just ignore an aspect of the game, right? You get an enemy that deals you 1 damage and 1 horror, and you can just ignore that enemy until your goon catches up to you. If you take 1 damage and 1 horror, and you take 6 actions in the meantime, that's a pretty good rate. This is also not even ignoring, this is ignoring the fact that it gives you book and foot and also allows you to move people. Crazy card. Crazy card. Alright, we're on to the Rogue cards. Rogue got a lot of fun stuff here. we got ourselves Underworld Support. Permanent. Limit 1 per deck. Purchase a deck creation. Your deck cannot include more than 1 copy of each non-weakness, non-signature card. Reduce your deck size by 5. I think the card is good. I don't think it's great. I think it's very fun. I think it is better than fine, though. I think it is a good card. And in green, you can build decks that really take advantage of it. I mean, actually, in Zoe, I built a deck that could really take advantage of it. Actually, I didn't build the deck. I was inspired by someone else's deck to take advantage of it. Yeah, I think it's a good card. In my heart of hearts, I'd put it in great, but I'm not listening to my heart of hearts. I'm listening to my brain. Scout ahead. Move. Move up to 3 times. Enemies not engage you during this movement. Commits for 2 foot, which is relevant. Okay, so I think that this card is the card that I was wrong about. When we were first talking about Edge of the Earth, this one I remember distinctly. That this card I thought was going to become a staple. I thought that this card was just like really good and really efficient. Overall, I think the card is just good. I don't think it's great. I think it's a good card. It does good things. But if I had to point to a card in Edge of the Earth, that I would consider to be the card I was wrong about, it would be Scout Ahead. Like, I think the card is good. It's a good card, but it's by no means what I thought it was. I thought it was going to be like this, right? I saw that even this, like this on the lower end of my hype level for it. But I think overall the card is just good. I have played it a bunch, and I'll still probably run it as a one-of, because like that's what good cards are, right? But yeah, it gets committed a lot more than it gets played. Yes, 100%. Tried a bunch of times. Turns out 0 actions for 1 move is still better than 1 action for up to 3 moves. That is true. Like, yeah, like there's just a lot of movement that this is kind of just outclassed. You never need the 3 movement. Like, apart from like, you know, other stuff. I don't know. It's just, I was very wrong about this card. 21 or bust. This card's fun. 2 cost, 1 at a time. Reveal random tokens in the chaos bag until you choose to stop. Treat each symbol token that's bad as a 5. The Ulfil as a 10. Elder Sign as a 1 or 11. And if it's, you know, you get your juices if you get some stuff. I think the card's good. I'm not going to go talk too much about it because I think it's just like, it's not a great economy effect, but I think it's a good economy effect. I think it is better than fine, though. It definitely does not deserve to live down here. Chat, remember what I told you, or a good chunk of the cards were going to be in good? Yeah. Yeah, we could argue, like you could definitely argue it that it would be in fine, but the thing is, I would play this card over any of these cards without even thinking about it. Yeah. And it's very easy to get 19. Bryn got 21 when we were recording on Wednesday. Counter Espionage. Fast. Play when you draw non-weakness Treachery. Cancel that card's Revelation effect and draw the top card of the encounter deck. As a reaction, you can increase its cost to change the encounter deck to your deck. You can increase its cost to change you to any Investigator to base. This is a great card. Honestly, the majority of the favor cards are very good. With the exception of Intel Report also being great. And I think this is another great card. A very strong tool for rogue encounter deck manipulation. But it's also balanced very fairly, where you get to take advantage. Like, not every rogue can take advantage of this card that well, right? You need to be like a big money rogue deck or a bigger money rogue deck, because like you still could feasibly use this in a normal rogue deck, but you're gonna have to like work around it, right? Which I think is very good design. I think it's a great card. Cheat the system. 0 cost, 1 experience, fast. Play during any lightning bolt window. Gain 1 resource for each different class among cards you control. So if we look at my 3 level, this is basically just a better emergency cache. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'll be honest, I've not played with this card, but I have seen someone play with this card, and they did get like 3 resources, and it's fast. I think it's, you know what? it's funnily enough, though, if I had to point at a class, that would be the worst at the synergy class. It probably would be green. So I think that's going to keep me from making this great, and I'm just going to say it's good. And I that might be weird of me to say. But I think this card also goes down a little bit from great, just because rogues don't really, like, if I had the choice between playing this and Faustian Bargain, unless I was playing a synergy deck, I would probably still just play Faustian Bargain. And as Autofail is saying, for 1 XP, I'll just take Easy Mark. I'll just take Easy Mark. I think, yeah. I think it's a good card, though. I think I was definitely harsher on it than I should have been. Like, for me, I was like, in my first reviews, I thought it was fine. I think it's a good card, though. I think it's good. Untimely Transaction. I forgot this card exists. This is probably like the meme of the memes. Zero cost event. Favor, reveal an item asset from your hand. Another investigator location may play that asset as if it was in their hand. If they do, draw 1 card and gain 1 resource equal to that asset's printed cost. The great thing is that you can have both, and I would recommend. Honestly, though, even in big money, I don't think you need both. I think there's just better economy options. Anyway, I regret playing this. I think this card is if they were like, Bob can play this, and then Bob just was like better than this card. Bob was like, I don't need this. Bob's like, I am this card. Yeah, I think it's the meme. It's the meme card of the set, 100%. Yeah. Savant gains wild icons equal to your lowest skill other than the skill being tested. So outside of Rogue, this card is just like fine to good. Inside of Rogue, I think this card is very good. I think it's even to the point where we're close to great. More memey than the dogs? Yeah, I don't think the dogs are memey, to be honest, actually. I think the community makes them memey, but I don't think they are memey. I think this is a great card. I think it's a new Rogue staple. Like it's a Rogue staple, and I don't think it's fantastic. Like I don't think it's up here because it is just like allows you to pass a test. But in Rogue, that is so much more important than other classes, right? Yeah. Savant, great card. The Red Clock 2. Exceptional. After your turn begins, place 1 charge here or take all charges here as resources. Then if it has exactly 1 charge, you get +3 skill value for the next skill test. 2 charges, you may move up to 2 times. 3 charges, you may take an additional action this turn. Can I be honest? Like, maybe it's wrong of me, but I feel like this card is just good only because the level 5 version is so fucking good. I feel like this card, even though it shouldn't, gets worse. Because the Red Clock 5 exists. To the point where, like, when people say, you should play Red Clock 2, I'm like, yeah, but it's not the good one. It's the bad one, which is wild. Because, like, it still has a lot of good effects. The problem is it's slow, right? I'm going to follow my gut. I think this version is just good only because the big one exists. Only because the big one exists. Because, like, it does give you a lot of passive value. However, it takes 4 turns to get that full value. So I think the card is just... I don't think it's great. I think it's good. I think it's good. And honestly, that's okay. That's okay. Because, like, you play it. Next turn, you get +3 skill value. That's fun. Next turn after that, you can move 2 times. Next turn after that, you get an additional action. Honestly, Leo DeLuca does that for you, and Cigarette Case is better than that. You know, Cigarette Case, I think Lucky Cigarette Case 3 just outperforms Red Clock. I think it's great because any 2 XP can slash take it. I'm not worried about that. That doesn't change things for me. Only like for what the value level of the card is. It's a good stepping stone. It is a good stepping stone. I won't deny that, Superfang. You're 100% right there. Money talks. Play when an investigator at any location initiates a skill test. Instead of the typing test, that investigator... this is a good card. I think it's good. In the archetype, obviously it's great. I don't think it's fine. I think it's better than fine. It's a good card. Not much to say. Card's just good. Card does its job and doesn't ask for a lot in it. Black Market. Let's go! Our second fantastic card of the set. 1 cost, 2 experience. At the start of investigation phase, reveal 5 cards from investigator's deck. Players can play cards from them. It's a great card. It's fantastic. It's a very good card. It's not busted. It's not fun. It's powerful. Hell yeah. It's just a nice, fantastic card from a set of lots of good cards. As you can see, like I said, there's a lot of good stuff in this set. So I suggest I not have a tier below fine. I do. I regret playing this. I'm not that positive. I'm filled with nothing but regret. Okay. Black Market. Very good card. And also, when it was tabooed more to just make it more reasonable. It's a Moxie. It's good. It's a Composure Moxie. It's just a good card. I think if this card was the other way around, where it was 1 meat and 3 brain, the card would be a lot better. But because it's not, it's worse. It's just good. It's just good. It's a Composure. The Black Fan. 10 resources, plus 1 health sanity. 15 resources, take an additional action during your turn. 20 resources, plus 1 to each of your skills. This is a great card. It's fantastic in the archetype. And I think we just have to respect that it's a great card. I think it's better than good. You don't run it everywhere, but I think the card's really good. I love Black Fan. Plays really well. From the Black Fan to the Red Clock. After turn begins, you may take all charges here as resources. Place 1 charge here. If it has exactly 1 charge, you get plus 4 skill value. 2 charges, you may move up to 3 times. 3 charges, you may take 2 additional actions this turn. So, this is a very interesting one. Because it's going to be in one of these 2 tiers. But I think, going back to what I said at the start of the video, this card it's balanced in a way that this one isn't, right? The Profana is, 1, easier to pull out of your deck and only costs 5 experience, so you can get away with running 1 of them. You can just search it out with a research librarian. 10 XP is a lot. However, I do think that if you have the Red Clock in your opening hand, you're going to win the scenario. I think it's like very hard to fail a scenario if this is in your opening hand, to the point where like I'm going to say it's impossible. But I don't think this card's busted. I think it's close to busted. But if you draw this, like if you don't get this in your opening hand, you miss it somehow on your backpack, and you don't get this till like turn 8, that fucking sucks. Right? And while that is rare, it can happen. It also takes up a slot that rogues want for their lucky cigarette cases. I think this card is fantastic, but I do not think it is busted. That's where I'm going to leave this one. That's where I'm going to leave it. Yeah. On to the purple cards. Down the Rabbit Hole. Permanent. Limit 1 per deck. Purchase a deck creation. After each scenario of a campaign, reduce the experience cost of the first 2 cards you upgrade before the wreck scenario by 1. Increase the experience cost for you to purchase new cards by 1. So, I think that this lives in the world of Geared Up. I think it's a great card. I was originally pretty soft on Down the Rabbit Hole, but I do think that this card is very good if you build around it. And it's honestly not that hard to build around it. And as the game's card pool gets bigger, as we just saw with the Scarlet Keys, this card just goes up in value. It's a good card. It's a great card. I think it's very nice. It's very nice. Dragon Pole. You have one additional arcane slot. As an action fight, you get +1 fist for this attack for each of your arcane slots that is filled. And if at least 2 of your arcane slots are filled, this attack deals +1 damage. I've played, I think, 2 Dragon Pole decks, and I've seen quite a few more Dragon Pole decks than that. I might have even played 3 Dragon Pole decks. I think that this card is... My instinct is only take Down the Rabbit Hole and XP starved campaigns. Like, sorry for just documenting on... Yeah, Down the Rabbit Hole is more so for, like, what you want out of your deck. It's not like Arcane Research where, like, the card's just, like, good. Down the Rabbit Hole is for a very specific deck where you're, like, gonna be planning on upgrading the majority of your cards. Anyways, Dragon Pole, it's a good card. What the heck happened down over here? There we go. I think Dragon Pole is a good card. I think that, like, you have to do a lot of work to get your weapon to the point where it's at a Guardian weapon. And honestly, that is totally good for the Mystic class. They should not have access to a weapon that is just so good that it just, like, you know, you don't even need to do anything else for it. I like the fact that there is a weapon that the Mystics can play that they need to build around and take time to get good. It feels like a very good design for a Mystic weapon. Meditative Trance. For each of your arcane slots that is filled, either heal 1 damage or 1 horror. 2 cost. Okay. This is the second I regret playing this, I think. I think if I had to pick a card from this entire box that is actively what I would say bad, it would be this card. I think that this card is just... It's just so expensive, and the effect is not that great. I think it's just like not... Like, if it had 2 brains, I could see you running it maybe a bit more. It costs 2, though. It costs 2. What would be its opposite called, where it checks empty slots? It'd be called, like... Meditative Trance, filled slots. It would just be called, like, yelling at the air. Yelling at cloud, you know? Opposite of meditative. Just the complete opposite. Or just like, it should just be called like state of angst, you know? You're just like obviously just mad and yelling at everything. Close the circle. Alright, I'm going to just say right now, I have had, when we released our Edge of the Earth reviews back in like February of this year, I had a lot of people say that they disagreed with me on Close the Circle. That I should, you know, it gives you a free action. And you may use that brain for your free action. So you can investigate at 5 once a turn. And that is good. That is good. But I don't think this card is particularly great. I don't even think this card, honestly, is particularly good. I can definitely see, as Astute Dunsparce is saying, that this can be good in Patrice. Because it lets you just take an extra action to investigate. But you know what's actually probably better in Patrice? Brand of Cthugga and Divination. I have not been swayed since earlier this year. I think this card is just fine. Honestly, if it didn't take up a spell slot, like if it took up if it was a different card and it was like a hand slot instead, let's go. I think the card would be good. I think that it's As the spell slot, though, it's so competitive. And I understand that, yes, this is for mystics who, like, people with high brain who can splash into purple, aka Patrice. But I still think with Patrice, I'd rather just, like, you know, use a spell that expedites my clue getting process. And you might be saying, but Justin, you don't know anything about Patrice. You haven't played her in forever. I'm playing Patrice right now. It was a deck built by a patron because they said you should try this deck out because it might give you a better handling on how to play Patrice. And yeah, I like what that deck is doing, and I feel like I kind of get it a bit more. And while I do think that Close the Circle definitely works in Patrice, I don't think the effect is particularly impressive, even for Patrice. Like, yeah, it gets you 3 investigates. So, okay, that's cool. That's cool. You still have to test for them, though. And it takes up a slot that I think is pretty competitive. I think the card's still just fine, though. I don't think it's bad. I think it's below where I want a card to be. Winds of Power. Oh my god, ow. Fucking pulled my skin off. Jesus. Okay. Winds of Power. 2 costs. Place 2 charges on an asset you control. After you draw Winds of Power during your turn, play it. Do you know what's a really good card? Cryptic Writings or whatever it is. The one where you get to, when you draw it, you gain 2 resources in yellow. Luckily, though, in Seeker, you have a lot of card draw. And you draw cards all the time. Mystics, though, they don't really have card draw. I'm gonna go a little step. I'm gonna make a big stand here, okay? And you might disagree with me if you're watching, but as I said, I'm following my hearts of hearts here. I think this card's. I was gonna put it down here, but I think it's just fine because even baseline it is just 2 cost. It is just a 2 cost. Place 2 charges on an asset you control. So I think it's just fine. I was gonna put it down here, but then I realized no wait, it still has a function. It still just places charges on an asset you control. It's fine. It's a fine card. Foresight. I always forget this card exists. 0 cost, 1 experience, fast. Play when investigate a location, withdraw a card from their deck or from the encounter deck. Name a card. If the card drawn is the named card, that investigator may either 1. Cancel the card's effects and discard it. Immediately play that card at -2 cost. So this card's like not great, right? It's just fine. Like in Gloria, obviously it's great, right? But I don't think that it's good as a whole. I once foresighted the last card in the encounter deck because I was counting cards. That was the best feeling ever. That does sound pretty sick. Norman literally cheating at the foresight test. Yeah. No, I think it's just fine, though. Because, no, you're not going to play it most of the time unless you have, like, a way to take advantage of it. And then you got to, like, play other cards to make it good. And the effect is still, like, honestly not great. Foresight plus Parallel Fate to get rid of your weakness. I don't know if that's even worth it, though. Right? Like what weaknesses are so bad as a mystic that you want to get rid of it with Foresight? Right? Like, so much so that you're going to, like, build a deck around it. Because it's definitely not overzealous. Right? Agnes? Yeah, I could see Agnes. That's probably the one. Agnes. Yeah. Agnes would be the one. But even then, it's probably better, instead of, like, building around your weakness, build around positive, clue, or damage tempo. So when you draw your weakness and you put Doom on the agenda, you don't lose tempo because you're already ahead. That's just better, right? Like, that's not like me taking crazy pills, right? Like, that's just a better thing than building around getting rid of your weakness. Can't be better than building around just being ahead of the game, right? And in theory, we could say, why not do both? Because you really, like, the more you eat into your efficiency, the less efficient it is, right? I think it's great in Gloria, though. Yeah, I think it's great in Gloria and Norman. I think in Gloria and Norman, card's absolutely great. Occult Theory. I think this is the other good one. Just kidding. It's fine. Just kidding. It's fine. What am I talking about? I'm crazy. This is not good. It's just fine. Yeah, it does nothing. Like, I've played it in a draft deck. Like, it's just like, you're going to be investigating with your brain, and if your book is high, you're going to have high brain anyway because you're a mystic. Yeah, I could see running it in like Luke. I could see in Luke it could be fine, but it's just like it never makes the cut. It just never makes the cut. Daisy Mandy, I could see that too, but the thing is like they're already so good at book already, right? It's good for Mandy to pass hard willpower tests, but Mandy doesn't really care about passing tests. She'll just survive it. But I mean, like, even like what, like, why are you scared as a seeker? Why are you scared of the encounter deck? I mean, okay, honestly, let's be real. Apart from why are you a rogue? If you're a rogue, why are you? If you're not a rogue, why are you scared of the encounter deck? Every other class is like totally fine to the encounter deck. The only class that still is scared of the encounter deck right now is rogue, right? Survivors don't care. They've never cared about the encounter deck. Guardians, they also don't really care. They'll just tank through it. Seekers, they've already solved that problem somehow. Right? Like, I mean, they're scared of enemies. Seekers are scared of enemies. That's fair. But, like, their brains are already so high, and they also have, like, allies to soak for them out the wazoo. And Mystics are the class that defeat the encounter deck. But I can see it in Daisy and Mandy, yeah. I do think the Stray Ronnie Remains is still a threat. Yeah, but then it's only like one of them, right? Like only one Ronnie Remains is scary, and you're probably I don't know. But on it, that's me though. I'm not scared of the encounter deck at this point in my Arkham life anymore, which is kind of sad. But it's just too easy to survive. Parallel Fates. Oh my god, there's a lot of bad purple cards in this box. I mean, this one's fine. It's maybe good even. If you look at the top 6 cards of Investigator's deck or the encounter deck, you may either return them to the top of that deck in any order or shuffle them into that deck. If you look at the Investigator's deck, then Investigator may draw 1 card. I think it's a good card. I'm gonna put this one in good. It has a good effect. It has a lot going for it for very low cost. If you're Gloria, it obviously goes better, but even if you're not Gloria, like being able to, like, if you're playing 2 players, being able to dictate 3 turns of the encounter deck can really put you at an advantage. I think it's good. Astronomical Atlas. As a Lightning Bolt exhausted, look at the top card of your deck. If it's not a weakness, attach a face down to Astronomical Atlas. Lightning Bolt, commit a card to attach to Astronomical Atlas to an eligible skill test. If the test succeeds, add that card to your hand instead of discarding it. It's a great card. It's great. I definitely don't think it's fantastic. I think that the card's just great. I've played with it in a gym deck, and it was a good time. I've seen Travis play it. I played it in a Marie deck, and it was a good time. I think the card's just it's a great card. I don't think it's like I don't think it's on this level where it's just like a card that you'll always run, but I think the card is very, very, very good. I think it's a great card. Healing Words. 2 cost, 3 experience, uses 4 charges, spend a charge, heal 2 damage from among investigators of your location. I don't think it's bad. I think it's just fine. If someone played this... I would give them the side eye. But if someone played this, I would give them like 3 side eyes. Like a third eye would open up from the top of my head like Doctor Strange, and they would all look, right? Yeah, I don't think it's down here. It's not great though, but it's like on the low end of fine if that existed. Grounded, 0 cost, 3 experience, talent, composure. You get +1 skill value during skill tests on spell cards. Once again, non-direct damage must be assigned to it, and you get +1 skill values. Yeah, honestly, Super Fang, I'm right there with you. Only composure I've never played, and it's honestly just because Mystics are so XP hungry. So I'm going to put this in the fine tier. Man, Mystics did not do great this expansion. Yeah, according to the Justin rankings, Mystics, I was not happy with Mystics in this box. Yeah, once we get to the spells in the multi-class, then we're gonna start talking. Yeah, no, it's just fine. Because yeah, it's just like, it's so XP hungry. True Magic. 4 cost, 5 experience. Uses 1 charge, replenishes charge at the start of each round. You may resolve abilities on spell assets in your hand by revealing them from your hand. Treat True Magic as if it was the revealed asset to pay its cost, spend charges, perform this effect, etc., etc. Card's cool. Card can be very good, but I think overall it doesn't go to the great tier. I think it's just a good card. It allows for a lot of versatility, which is obviously like a very good effect. It does suck with the Edge of the Earth spells. Kind of a shame it came out with them. That is true. But I think the card is... I've seen it played in a Patron game day. It was in a... I think it was... No, it was a Luke deck, I think. I think it was a Luke deck. Which makes sense because of then Research Librarian. And it was very cool. And I think it was good. I don't think it was like fantastic or anything, though, the deck. It was just like... it was just kind of like the versatility, which is really cool. Like being able to just like not play spells and then you can just like use a 6th Sense from your hand. I think it's kind of cool. And then you get like a fucking your hand discarded and you're like, you know. The red cards. Alrighty then. Short supply. Purchase limit 1 per deck. Purchase at deck creation. When your first turn of the game begins, discard the top 10 cards of your deck. I think this card's great. I think it's a great card. I think it's very... when you know you want it, it does very well for you. However, it's not an auto-include. It's because, like, I would never take this in Silas, I don't think. I don't think I would ever take this in Silas. Even though, like, you have the thing with Silas where you, you want to, like, play a card from your discard pile, but I don't think it's worth it. I think it's, I just, like, you could argue, I know with Bryn, the thought process is, like, why wouldn't I just, like, those cards I might not have ever drawn to begin with, right? Like, go like that. It's interesting, but I mean, I just think that, like, if you are Will Yorick, auto-include, right? If you're doing any sort of scavenging, auto-include. If you're playing with that new salvage card, probably an auto-include, right? I think it's a great card. I don't think it's fantastic, though. I'm not going to run it in every Survivor. Like, I'm not going to probably play it in Patrice, because I'm just not gonna. I'm just not gonna. Oh, Schaffner's Catalog. This card's fantastic. This card is kind of wild for a level 0 card. It's 2 cost, uses 5 secrets. If it has no secrets, discard it. You may spend secrets on Schaffner's Catalog as resources to pay for item assets played by investigators at your location. Yeah, it's just so efficient, right? It's so efficient. It's a very, very, very powerful card. And it's level 0. And, like, obviously you want, like, you're going to be, like, you need to kind of, like, build your deck somewhat around this. Like, if you're playing a skill-heavy deck, you're not going to play Schaffner's. But, I mean, like, that shouldn't be a fucking surprise, right? Yeah, like it's just so good, and it can pay for other people's stuff too once you have your stuff out, and it's slotless. And it's fucking slotless. Bandages. Uses 3 supplies. If it has no supplies, discard it. After an investigator ally asks your location takes 1 or more damage, spend a supply, heal 1 damage from that card. Dude, Survivor does have a great fucking set of cards in this box. This is probably some of the best, most efficient healing in the game. Which, like, seems strange, right? Because it doesn't really seem like it's that great. Like, you're just paying 2 actions to heal 3 damage. But it plays so fucking good. And my favorite thing, you haven't seen it yet, okay? You haven't seen it because Bryn and I haven't finished recording it yet because we've been back in person. But there's some slight spoilers here. In our asset-only run, we might have had, like, 4 bandages in play. And, when someone takes 1 damage, they would heal 3. Oh, we both felt pretty dirty for that one. We both felt, like, kind of gross. And also, like, that you can do allies just makes it even fucking better. I know that one day it's going to come that there's probably going to be a horror version for it. It's probably going to be one experience. I don't think we should have a horror version of this, though. Because I think that the horror version would be too good. I think the horror version would just be wild. Yeah, I don't think it should exist. I think bandages already is just kind of like really good. It's really good. Jury rig. Attach an item asset controlled by an investigator location during a skill test on attached assets. Spend a durability, get +2 skill value. 3 unexpected courages on an item asset controlled by an investigator. I think that is good. I think that's a good card. Jury rig. I think it's good. I don't think it's particularly great. I think it's better than fine. I think it's just good. Jury rig is like the perfect deck filler for a level 0 deck. I would love to disagree with you, but I've used it as filler in a lot of my level 0 decks. So I agree with you 100%. Bangle of Jinxes. 2 cost. Use 1 charge. Spend a charge. You get +2 skill value for this test. Limit once per test. After enemy attacks you, place 1 charge on Bangle of Jinxes. I saw Bryn do some gross stuff with this. I have played with this in Daniela, and it is impressive. I don't think it's great. I do think it is good, though. I think it's good. I think it's a good card. I think in Daniela, it's certainly great, if not fantastic. But I think, overall, I think the card is just... It's just good. It's a good card. Like, remember, good isn't bad. Good isn't bad. Good is good. Burn after reading. Okay. Okay. Burn after reading. 1 cost, 1 experience. Exile level 0/5 card from your hand. Discover 2 clues of your location. If the exiled card was level 2 or higher, remove 1 doom from the current agenda. Exile burn after reading. So I do think that this card's very good. The fact that you can just take it in the final scenario is, like, really good. I do think people are blinded a bit by the card, though. They're a bit blinded by the its power in standalone. Because, like, when you play standalone, it's very good. However, like, unless you're exiling a level 0 card, it's not like, getting 2 clues is good. Like, getting 2 Tesla's clues is very, 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 very good. And you're a survivor, so you don't care about the experience. But the thing is, like, this card lives in a weird spot where you're not putting this card into your deck unless you're trying to cheese, right? Like, you're not going to be putting this in, like, early, right? You're putting this card into your deck in, like, scenario 6, 7, 8. In the exile decks, obviously, this card goes up in value. I'm talking myself through this because I'm also living between great and fantastic. I think the card's great. I don't think it's fantastic. I think it's a great card. Because, like, I think the only time it's truly fantastic is in the last scenario. I think otherwise it's just a great card, right? Like, the reality is where would I put a card that discovers 2 clues at your location? I'd put that as a great card, right? Just like a testless discover 2 clues. This is testless, but it costs 2 cards to do it. Right, it costs 2 cards. The Removing Doom is certainly nice, but I do think that it's only fantastic when you're in the final scenario. So much to the point that I don't, like, also, like, Burn After Reading, I'm not looking at playing this card the whole campaign. The times I've played Burn After Reading, I've brought it into scenario 8 to cheese the game. And I think that's kind of like where it's like, it can live in kind of like the busted tier, because it's kind of just like warping the game around it in a way. But I think overall, the card lives in the great tier. Yeah. Strength in numbers. Hey, get out of there. I think this one's one of the... 3 icons. So we're going to go back to the 3. 4 icons. That's a Promise of Power. I think it's a good card. That's a Promise of Power, baby. That's a Promise of Power where you have to work a little bit for it. You have to spend an experience and work a little bit. I think that's good. I think that's good. It's a good card. Dauntless Spirit. You're not great. You're fine. You can live with all your friends except for the Seeker one. And also, you know, the Rogue one, which is the best one of those. It's like, it's just so useless. It's just so useless. To the point where I probably wouldn't even play this in Silas, to TBH. I think there's just better skills you can play in Silas than this card. Because, like, with Silas, he's red, so you don't even need to, like, worry about the Mythos phase. Apart from, like, maybe Scenario 1, sorry. But other than that, having this in Tony as a nice security blanket, that's a good call. I like that. I like that with for Tony. Tony Red. I want to try a Tony Red deck. I haven't played a Tony Red deck. Blood? We'll have blood. Frozen in Fear? +5 brain, baby. Yeah, that is nice for Tony. Blood will have blood. Fast. Play after enemy attacks you. Max 1 per attack. Damage and horror from this attack cannot be assigned to ally assets. For each point of damage and or horror you took from this attack, draw 1 card. Great art on this card. The art on this card is kind of sick. Kind of really cool. I think the cards are just good, though. All that said, I think the card is just a good effect. I'll be honest, I've never played it. But I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's just good. Fire Extinguisher 3. I think this is a great weapon. I think it's a great weapon for survivors. Daniela loves it. Silas loves it. Will Yorick probably loves it. Yeah, why wouldn't he? It's like a machete that you don't need to jump through a hoop for, and it's cheaper once you can, like, you can just replace your machetes with this. And the discard function's really good. The exile is also really good if you need it. I think it's just a great card. It's a very well-designed upgrade, and Survivor getting weapons that they can use, you'll love to see it. Plucky. I think this is one of the better ones of the composures. I do think it's one of the better ones, but I do think that ultimately it's still just good. I think you could have an argument that this is the best composure. And I think I would agree with that. I would agree that this is probably the best composure. But I think still the composures are kind of just like, they don't really do anything. Like, they give you stats, which are good, but that still is 3 experience a lot. It's just for stats, right? Yeah. I'm still standing by that point. Like, if you look at all of these cards, they all kind of do something. This one's a little bit of an outlier. The black fan is kind of hiding right here, but I still think it's, I still stand by that. Fend off. Play when not only enemy spawns your location, that enemy attacks you, then automatically evade that enemy and attach fend off to it. Attached enemy cannot ready. The time that I would say fend off was really sick is when I was playing this with M. I was playing Innsmouth with M, and they used it to stop in Horror and High Gear, and made it so that the road got really long. That was really funny. I think like being able to neutralize an enemy on the board is a good effect, but I don't think it's a great effect. I think that it can have its uses, right? Like, it's great for like to just like solve a deep one bull. Like, anything that just solves a deep one bull is really good. But the majority of the time, leaving an enemy on the board is actually kind of poo-poo. So I think this is just a good card. Okay. We're in the gold cards. Medical Student. 2 cost. Guardian. Seeker. 1/1 soak. After enters play, heal 1 damage 1 horror from an investigator or ally asset at your location. It's a great card. This is an absolutely great card. I think it's very, very powerful for what it asks, like for legitimately the smallest amount of ask, which is just an ally slot and like 2 money. And it just heals effectively, it heals 2. So it heals 2 from you, 2 damage in a horror or an ally. And then it also just, soaks for 2 and 2. For 1 and 1, sorry. It's just, yeah, it's great. It's a great card. It's a great card. On the Trail. Choose an enemy at any location other than yours. Either move twice towards that enemy or discover 1 clue at any empty location between you and the chosen enemy along the shortest path to reach that enemy. We're going to talk about the 2 together in its upgraded version. Choose an enemy at any location other than yours. Move twice towards that enemy. Discover 1 clue at each location you entered by this effect. Yeah, this card is a great perception that doesn't replace itself. I've played this card a lot. More than I felt like I ever should. And even when it works perfectly, it still doesn't feel great. So you know how at the start of the video, I said there's probably only 2 cards that I could think on the top of my head that I wanted to put into the I regret this? Well, here they are. I will say that a chunk of this is also my bias, because the cards have done nothing for me when I've tried to play them, and I've tried to play both quite a few times. I think this is the card that I actively think is bad in Edge of the Earth. I think it's just like, it's so like, it's very expensive for experience. And I ended up committing it more than I ever ended up playing it. Because it just like never works. It just never works. Okay. Michael Lee, Experienced Hunter, 4 cost 5 experience. Get +1 fist, +1 book. After you successfully investigate, place a resource on him as evidence. As evidence. When you initiate an attack, I can exhaust him, spend 1 evidence, deal +1 damage to the attack, soaks for 3 and 3. Great ally. He's a great ally. You'll know when you want him, and he's very great when he's very great when he functions there. Snipe. 0 cost, 1 experience. During the next fight action you perform this turn using a ranged or firearm asset, treat each token you reveal as a 0 token. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. So I'm going to be real. I think this card actually is kind of good. But I think it's also not good. I think the effect on this card is really nice. But this card, like, I understand they can't make it fast. But you could make it fast, Fantasy Flight Games. You could have made this card fast. Right? Like, you could give the Guardians a bit of love. Right? Because, like, I understand that, you know, both Guardians and Rogues use firearms. So, like, you want to, like, have, like, that fits both colors. But I think, like, if we wanted this to be, like, a real multi-class card, like, and to really feel it, we could have given it the green fast on that. We could have. I think that the effect is good, but because it's slow, it's kind of just, like, not great. It's probably not fast because of the tentacle there. I don't, honestly, and getting the tentacle token is pretty solid even for an action. I think that's like seeing the tree and like seeing, like, what's the saying? Like seeing the forest, the trees for the forest for the trees or something like that. It's not. Like, it's a 1 in, like, 17 chance that it's stopping, right? And, like, I don't think that's worth an action. Like, this could have been fast to experience, and I think it would have been played a lot more. I think the card overall, though, is just fine. Just because taking an action when, like, you're probably trying to kill a boss. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, this is an action that could be used to just kill something, right? I've played Snipe in a big weapon deck where it was about, you know, like, taking the important shot. And it still just felt not great to play. It's a good effect, but I think the card itself doesn't do enough for you. Old Shotgun. Uses 0 ammo. While playing an event, treat Old Shotgun's uses value as 2. Spend an ammo. Fight. You get +3 fist for this attack. Instead of a standard damage, stack damage equal to the amount you succeeded by or fail by. If you fail and withdraw another if you damage another investigator. It's a cool card. I think, like, building around it makes this card never leave the good tier, though. I just think the amount of build around you need to do makes it so that this card is never going to be great. Right? But it does cost 0. It does cost 0. But, like, it is kind of just, like, a joke. I know that's mean to say, but, like, this card is, like, it's here for the people who like the wacky combos. And there's nothing wrong with that. Cards like that are obviously very good for the game. But, like, I think if the base level of the deck was so good that, like, you didn't need to jump through hoops for it, it would make the card less appealing to the audience that wants this kind of card. It should work with Geared Up. I don't think it should work with Geared Up. Geared Up's an asset. Geared Up's not an event, it's an asset. This is one for the mat. Yeah, this one is very Bryn. This one's very Bryn. Speaking of very Bryn, quick draw holster. I said should, not does. No, but it shouldn't even. Not even if you say should. I disagree. It shouldn't. Why should it work with Geared Up? Geared Up's an asset. There's no reason it should. Quick draw holster. 4 cost, 4 experience. Takes up the body slot. Lightning Bolt. Choose a firearm asset taking up only 1 hand slot in your play area. Attach it to quick draw holster or switch it with the attached asset. The attached asset takes up no hand slots. Exhaust quick draw holster. Perform a fight action on the attached asset without paying its cost. This card. Oh, Monocle Band. 11 months at the Golden Table. Thank you for using your Twitch Prime. We really appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a great Friday. The card. This card's bad. It's not bad. It's fine. But it's so expensive. 4 experience. 4 cost. And what does it give you? A hand slot and an extra action. Do you know what also does that? That new card in in Scarlet Keys that's Mystic, and I think it only has like 2 experience. Card seems not great. Do not like quick draw holster. Oh, now we're talking, baby. Now we're talking. Brandica Thugga, level 1. If it's attack, you may use Brain instead of Fist. You get +1 skill value. If you succeed, spend 1 or 2 charges. Instead of its standard damage, its attack deals 1 damage for each charge spent. If you succeed by 0, lose 1 action. Okay, so let's compare this, because realistically, we want to compare this to Shriveling, level 0. Because if you're going to be playing Brandica Thugga, you're probably putting in the thick of it to get this going. Because you're probably also playing down the rabbit hole. Let's just speak our truths for a few seconds. So Shriveling, 3 cost, 4 charges. Don't get Brain. 1 damage. So you can really get like 8 damage out of this. This, you for sure get 6 damage out. Why am I still talking? Brandica Thugga, it should be no surprise. I think it's a great card. I think Brandica Thugga 1 is a great card. I think it's great. And where does that leave Brandica Thugga 2, you might ask? Well, we got to talk about Nikosi first. Nikosi Mabadi, 4 cost, 3 experience, ally slot, 2/2 soak. After enters play, name a non-Elder Sign Chaos token with a symbol. Until this card leaves play, that named token is your sigil. When an investigator reveals cultist, tablet, or squid, exhaust it, search the chaos bag for your sigil, and reveal it instead. Yes, I know. I was very high on this card. But I think it's just good. I think it's just a good card. I think it's where it lives in best is it lives best in I think actually like a blessed or a cursed deck. I think that's where his home is. It's not with Jim. Jim is at this point Jim is dead. Jim is singing, tooting his own trumpet for his own funeral march right now. Brandica Thugga 4. This card's fantastic. This is probably my most played card in Edge of the Earth. It's probably Brandica Thugga. This card is wild. It's a wild card. It's probably the most efficient damage spell in the game. It's a very, very, very good card. And Guardians can play it. And it doesn't even take up a hand slot. Yeah, it's a nice one. It's a nice one. Yeah, Schaffner's is also a good one. I think it's for me, I've played all of these cards a lot. Hey. And then you do the new Uncage the Soul with this. Oh, Astute Dunsparce. That's so fun. I did that last Monday, and you were there, and you went like this probably. You probably went people clap. Good card. Busted. Sledgehammer. All right. Fight, you get -1 fist and deal +1 damage. Double action, you get +2 and deal +2 damage for this attack. So I think that this is a good level 0 weapon. You kind of need a plan for it. And it's going to exist in the spot of, like, you know, you're going to be wanting to upgrade this ASAP if you don't have 5 fist. But even then, like, the double action to get +2 is probably more than you need in 2 players. It's probably going to be fine for you, right? I think the card is good. And after seeing Bryn play with it, I was like this on Sledgehammer, and then I was like this, and now I'm kind of like Hare. I've gone back up on Sledgehammer. It's Bryn's new pet card, though. He's playing a Sledgehammer Skids deck in our Edge of the Earth rerun, which should start on next Friday if you're watching this live on Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's already gone live. It's already been up there. Protective Gear. When you draw a Hazard Treachery, deal 1 damage and 1 Horror to Protective Gear. Cancel that card's Revelation effect. Oh, by the way, also in this Edge of the Earth rerun, just to build some hype for people watching live on Twitch, and also if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't watched it, it has one of my new absolutely favorite moments in one of our things. It's just now I'm going to be referring to it until the end of time. It's so fucking funny to me. Protective Gear. When you draw a Hazard Treachery, deal 1 damage, 1 Horror to Protective Gear, cancel that card's Revelation effect. Soaks for 3 and 3. I think that this card is outclassed by other soak, and I think ultimately it is just fine. It is just a fine card. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's particularly good either. Sledgehammer 4. I think it's great. I think it's a great weapon. Just because the top half does its job. It does take up 2 hand slots. It does take up 2 hand slots, which is notable. It is notable. But I think, like, while Cyclopean Hammer does have more damage output, nothing feels better than that bottom action on the Sledgehammer 4, baby. It's just, like, spicy. There's nothing better than dealing 6 damage to an enemy. There's nothing better than using this, missing, and then being like, oh fuck, we're all gonna die. That's also great. Pocket Telescope. Okay, so chat, I'm gonna let you answer this for me. Should I talk about this card on its basic function or how it can just absolutely destroy some aspects of the game? Because I think if you're not trying to break this game, I think that Pocket Telescope is kind of just like, it's a good card. It's a good card. But it can absolutely destroy Innsmouth scenarios. It single-handedly stops Horror and High Gear from being a challenge. I think that it's a fun card. I enjoy it when Travis played it. I did not enjoy when Travis absolutely ruined when he absolutely ruined Horror and High Gear. I don't like that it also can, like, trivialize when you have to spend clues to go into locations. And I just feel like there's a little bit of disconnect for, like, what this card meant to do for the game. So if you're not trying to do anything fucky with the card, I think it's a good card. If you're trying to do fucky things with it, honestly, this card is going to live up here. Just because it, like, literally single-handedly for a 0-cost card breaks scenarios. But if you're just trying to do fair things with it, it's pretty just fine. It's pretty just fine. I'm gonna take a stand. I'm gonna take a personal stand. I'm gonna put this up here. I don't like what it does to scenarios, and I don't like what it can potentially limit for future design scenarios. I have the same problem with the Prophesy Profana. Eon Chart. It's a good card. During your turn, exhaust it. Spend a secret. Choose to take one of the following actions. I think that, obviously, like, let's be real. The level 1 Eon Chart is a good card. However, it has Red Clock Syndrome. Right? It has Red Clock Syndrome. Where, because the level 4 version exists, the level 1 version, I feel like it's worse than it is. But that's really stupid, isn't it? However, you can't beat it. You can't beat that feeling, right? Like I don't look at Eon Chart 1 and go, this is where I want to be with my life. I look at Eon Chart 1 and I think, I can't wait till this motherfucker is Eon Chart 4. I'm like, this is like, the free extra action a turn is good, but I'm not, like, so hyped on that. But maybe that's wrong of me. Like, maybe, like, really this card is, like, it's a... No, I think it's just good. I think it's just good. I'm standing by it. Janae, she's fucking broken, man. You might be thinking, how is this lady broken? Well, great question. It's because she can move clues. And I think that it's just like, she just does so much for 3 experience. Bob has sold you on the level 1 version being better than 4. I've played Bob with the level 1 version and the level 4 version. The level 4 version's better because you get to take 2 actions. And you might be thinking, why would I want to take 2 actions? Well, because just more actions better. That's what I found anyway. I hated the level 1 version in Bob, and I wanted the level 4 version ASAP. Yeah, the clue swap is kind of just disgusting with Janae. Just absolutely gross. And also just the fact that she's 3 experience. Like, she should have been given the Michael Lee treatment, 5 experience. And I think she is now, right? With the taboo list, she is now 5 experience. Yeah. Yeah, it's just her ability to move clues around is very powerful. Her ability to also move enemies around is also very powerful, to the point where it trivializes aspects of the game in a way that is not really fair or fun. It's not like what you want to be doing, and that's why it lives in the busted tier. Because, like, it just actively makes things... It trivializes aspects of the games. High-level cards better than low-level cards, a hot take. I mean, that's not necessarily true. Oh, I've had worse. The low-level version's better than the high-level version. Actually, can we talk about respect to the design on Liquid Courage? How they have the 2 versions that completely fit for different decks, and like they don't conflict with each other. Absolutely brilliant design on Liquid Courage. Eon Chart 4, this card's fantastic. Fantastic card. All right. Divination. Investigate. You use your brain to see your book. You get +1 skill value. So I like these cards. I don't think they're like. I think they're good. I think they're very good. I do think, though, that, like, generally Mystic spells are probably comparable with these. I'm not looking at running Divination. Most likely with... I'm not looking at running Divination in my Mystics, right? I'm looking at running Divination in my Seekers. And even then, it's probably still outclassed. Like, it's a weird one. I think I like divinations more than they are actually good, if that makes sense, chat. I really like divination, but I think I like it more than they are good. So I'm going to put divination 1 in the good, and I'm quickly just going to put divination 4 in the great tier. Maybe? You know, we'll get... It is really nice to just be able to get, like, 3 clue. But the thing is, like, Rite of Seeking is so good. I think I'm gonna follow my gut though. This is my gut, and we're really living in it. Fast. Player after an ally asset or location is discarded by an effect or is defeated, either return that asset to its owner's hand or its owner draws 3 cards. Protecting the Nurnik, great card. I think it's a great card. I think it's better than good. It asks for very little, and it gives you so much. It gives you so much for, like, very little. Like, a lot of times, like in Seekers, you want to, like, recur your allies, so you can pull it back. If you are a Mystic, you want to draw cards and kill your allies anyway. So you can just, like, kill your... What are they? Why do I have Sorcerer's Apprentice in my mind? Whatever the fucking spell lady is that gives you... Like, the basic one. What's the name? Initiate. Arcane Initiate. Thank you. Not Sorcerer's Apprentice. Like, very good with Arcane Initiate. Great card. Great card. We already got that one. Professor William Webb. Ah, the poor ally. Poor William Webb. I think he's good. I think he's good. I think he's a good ally who, unfortunately, doesn't have his time in the sun. Because he's kind of just outclassed by other allies. But I think if you strip those other allies out, he is good. And I think that the actual upgraded version of him is also very, very good. It felt very good playing with him. Ice Pick. During a skill test while you're fighting or investigating exhaust Ice Pick, you get +1 skill value for this test. I think Ice Pick is a good card. Are you contractually obligated to say he's good because you revealed him? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If I revealed Meditative Trance... No, I mean, even what is it? The new fucking Map the Area in Scarlet Keys, that card, like, makes me the least hype. It literally deflates me. It, like, literally just deflates me when I look at that card. I go... Ice Pick's good, though. Upgraded Professor William Webb. So now when you successfully investigate, you can spend a secret, choose an item asset, your discard pile, and add it to your hand. Instead of discovering a clue at your location, you may discover a clue at a connecting location. I do think that this card is actively, like, great, but people aren't going to play it because he's just outclassed again. Like, Scavenging is already one of the strongest cards in the Survivor card pool if you're an investigator, right? If you're using your book. And also that, like, if you're going to be using your book, you probably want to run an ally, if you can, that bumps up your book. And I think Professor William Webb is outclassed. However, with all of that said, I do think that he is a great card. I think his effect is powerful. I think his cost and resources is totally fair for the power. Like, his resource cost and experience cost is totally fair for the power level that he brings to the table. But I think he is outclassed by other allies, which doesn't make him worse. It just means the other allies are a bit too strong. And then Upgraded Ice Pick is also just a great card. So now you can just sacrifice it, discard it, to gain an extra clue or deal more damage. Yeah, I think it's a great upgrade. Ethereal Slip. Choose a non-elite enemy at a revealed location up to 2 connections away. Swap places with that enemies. Don't make me say it. Don't make me say it, chat. I think this card is close to bad. I'm putting it in the fine tier. I think that, like, it's just... There's a lot of dreams that players have with this card. And then most of the time, you're like, I guess I'm going to commit this to this foot test I need to make because the enemy is with me and not 2 connections away. like that's the thing, right? Like, I think it's just... It's too situational to be good. Spirit Juice is 100% correct. Blur. Chat, don't make me say it again. Don't make me say it again, okay? Don't make me say it again, please. I hate evade spells. I hate evade spells. Because, like, let's be real. It's giving you the action to make up for the fact that you wasted an action evading. There, I said it, okay? It gave you the action to make up for the fact that you wasted an action. That's why it's giving you an action. It's still good. It's still a good card. But what if you got that evade action for free because you're Finn? I don't fucking care. I'll play quick thinking and get an action without spending an experience. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, I just, like, even in Finn, I don't give a shit. But it does give you an action. Sometimes you have to evade. Chat, I'm sorry. Evading sucks. I love evading. I'll evade. I like Finn. Finn is one of my, like, he's one of my top investigators. I love Finn every time I play him. Anytime you have to evade, I feel like I've lost. And I understand that might just be me, but also, like, evading doesn't solve a problem. Evading is king in solo play. I don't play solo, so I unfortunately can't talk about that. But I also just feel like in solo play, like, just killing it with a toe-to-toe is probably better. Like, you know, if you can run toe-to-toe. Like, if you just kill the enemy, then the problem's solved. True solo is definitely not for nerds. It's a different preference. Like, it's different ways to play. I don't like true solo, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad way to play. Autofill token. Get that red arc out of here. I'm going to have to time you out. I'm not even kidding. All right. Ethereal Slip upgraded. I think it's also just fine. The pipe dream gets even... The pipe gets even thicker, but it doesn't make the pipe better. It doesn't make the pipe better. Yeah. Sorry, Ethereal Slip. Blur. Big Blur. I know chat is gonna... I mean, Tasty Toast is already saying it. It's genuinely great. 2 actions is really nice. It's 4 experience for 2 actions on an evade check. What are you gonna use those actions on? You're gonna use it to kill the enemy, probably. Oh, sorry. It's still just good. I'll never like an evade spell. I'll never like look at an evade spell and actually think it's great. Right? Like 4 XP is just not it for an evade spell. Fighting a retaliate enemy? No, that doesn't convince me either. Like I said, the card pool is just too good at this point. That, like, if I'm worried about a retaliate enemy, I'm not gonna choose evade in my deck to play it. I'm gonna play this like play like something else. I'm just not worried. Like, I'm not worried about that. Evading is just it. Yeah, like it's It's not a bad card by any means, but I look at all of these great cards, and I look at these effects, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And I look at this, and I'm like, yeah, it's good. Evading, it's good. But I don't think, for 4 experience, that's a lot. That's a lot. Oh, hit me. This card's cursed. After you reveal a clue... Actually, yeah, that's also too dirty. Yeah, dirty fighting is what I want from my evade stuff. Dirty fighting is what I want from my evade... I mean, dirty fighting is also probably a little bit good. After you reveal a chaos token during a skill test, reveal an additional chaos token, switching its minus to a plus. If that token is a skull token, you automatically fail. Can I ask chat, what is it like to not draw the skull for this test? Because I've only like gotten the skull for this card. Is this card good if you don't draw the skull? Because, yeah, for some reason, I'm just bad at playing Hit Me. Like, is it a good card? Check, because I don't know. Because for me, I regret playing this card. But I understand that I'm living in a weird world where my Hit Me fucking sucks. I'm gonna, honestly, though, put it in fine. It's a bad lucky. It's a bad lucky. And maybe that's good, but I can't get past the it's an extra copy of Lucky. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't. But I mean, like, if you were gonna fail the test anyways, like, what's the point? I guess that's a fair point. If you're gonna fail the test, why not do Hit Me, right? If you were gonna fail anyways, why not play Hit Me? Because it still might do nothing, right? Like, you still might just get a 0. Yeah, no, it's fine. I don't think it's a good card. I don't think it's good. Because you can just play a card. I feel like some of these cards are made for specifically for harder difficulty settings. I can believe that. But the thing is, like, if you were gonna, like... So, like, let's say, like, let's look at this, right? Like, you're testing 4 to 3. Right? You're testing 4 to 3. You get the -2. That's one less -2 that you get from your +2s. There's the -1s. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. The -1s are now good. The 0s are bad, but like you said, that's rare. You get the +1, and that's fucking funny if that happens. Then you can also draw an Elder Sign. Oh, no, only the minuses change into a plus. The pluses don't switch. It's not like Sure Gamble. Okay. Okay, no, chat, you've convinced me. I'll put it in good. I'll put it in good. You've convinced me. You've convinced me. I think we've kind of gone, like I said, I have the worst experience with Hit Me. So much so that I don't like playing it. I think I actually, personally, in my heart of hearts, I think it's a bad card. But I am coming from a place of unluckiness. But I do think that when you strip it all down, it's basically just... It's an... Let's go. It's called it's an unreliable lucky. It's not a bad lucky. It's an unreliable lucky. Lucky 0, anyway. This is completely outclassed by Lucky 3, as it should be. It's a lucky where you're doing a bit of a gambit on it, which makes sense because it's a gambit card. Okay, I'm convinced. I'm convinced. Unscrupulous Loan. After you play Unscrupulous Loan, gain 10 resources. When the game ends, or you are eliminated, if you have fewer than 10 resources in your resource pool, exile Unscrupulous Loan. I think this card is great. Honestly, I'm even on the train where I'm starting to become a believer in just using this for like a cash infusion and then you just spend the money and you say bye to it. I think that's totally, I think it's now totally a reasonable strategy as well. I think it's a good card. I think it's a great card. I think it's going to be a very nice piece in the future. I wish it didn't make big money decks so easy to get big money, but I think it's still a great card. All right, we got the 2 Precious Mementos, otherwise known as the Never Die devices. After you fail a skill test by 10 or more, exhausted, heal a damage. After you fail a skill test by 2... Did I say 10 or more? By 2 or more, exhausted. If you succeed by 2 or more, exhausted, heal damage and horror flipping. And as Bryn says, they even reverse the icons. I think they're... Okay. Let's think about this. Once again, I think they are outclassed by Lucky Cigarette Case in Rogues. But that's also not fair, because Lucky Cigarette Case 3 is probably one of the strongest cards in the entirety of the card pool. It is just kind of like too efficient. It's just so fucking good. There's also other ways to not die in red. No, I'm gonna trust my heart of hearts. It's a great card. I think they're great. I think they're very powerful cards. I think they're very powerful cards when you want them, and they also ask for very fucking little outside of their experience cost and their accessory slot. Which you might be thinking, Justin, that's a lot of stuff. But also, like, you place one of these down and you just never die. You buy the one that's relevant for you and you just never die. And who knows, maybe we'll need to stop playing... Well, we can stop playing Lucky Cigarette Case 3 sometime soon. We'll, like, get sick of it and we'll, like, start playing different things. Yeah, that is... I agree with Tasty Toast. The only unfortunate thing is they do almost require Relic Hunter. Yes, they do. But, I mean, that's kind of, like, said for, like... Even Red Clock, you kind of want a Relic Hunter with it, because Lucky Cigarette Case 3 is so good. Talisman of Protection, 2 cost, spell slot, fast, play only during your turn. Play under the control of an investigator. Any investigator location, when they're assigned damage or when to defeat them, cancel up to 2 damage and or horror. It's a good card. I think it's a good card. I think it's a very well-designed card. You love to see it. I think it's good. I think it's a good card. Earthly Serenity 1. Fast. Sorry, it's not fast. Test. 4 charges, brain 1. For each point you succeed by, you may spend 1 charge to heal 1 damage and or horror from an investigator location. If you succeed by 0, lose a resource. This is the start of the little baby version of the best healing spell in the game. It's a good card, though. It's good. Enchanted Bow. 3 cost, 2 experience, takes up a hand slot, 2 hand slots and a spell slot, 3 charges, exhausted as an action, fight. You must use either brain or foot instead of fist and get +1 skill value for this attack. This attack deals +1 damage. As an additional cost to initiate this ability, you may spend 1 charge to have this attack target a non-elite enemy at a connecting location. If you do, ignore the aloof and retaliate keywords for this attack. Yeah, I'm basically going to copy Tasty Toast's homework and change it a little bit. This is not great in general, but for a few investigators, it's brilliant. And I think that's why it's going to live in the good tier. But, like, if you're, like, a flex investigator... No, but it takes up both your hands. Yeah, no, it's a good card. It's a good card. It's not great. Some investigators really like it. But overall, I think it's still just a good card. Earthly Serenity 4. This might be up. This actually, honestly, might be up in Fantastic for me. Just because it's like so good at what it does, right? It's so good at what it does that I think it deserves to be in Fantastic. Because there's no other way to get such good burst healing. And, like, it's a brain zero test, and most of the time you're going to, like, succeed by it. I feel like, but I'm kind of, like, stuck between these. Like, great and fantastic. I think I'm going to go with fantastic, though. It has just so much positive tempo out of its healing. So I think I'm going to go with fantastic for that one. I think it gets a whole double tier upgrade. I want to put in fantastic just because it's healing and you don't have to need it. That's where I'm sitting too, honestly. That's like, because that's like what's keeping me go down here, because like it's just healing. It's just healing. You know, but I'll be fair. I'll be fair. I knocked evasion down because it's just evasion. I'm going to knock down Earthly Serenity because it's just healing. Quite often, I think Earthly Serenity 1 is enough. I don't know. 4... The 4 feels a lot. It feels yucky. 6 at 0 means that you can get like a 3 and a 3. And a 3 and a 3 is a lot better than a 2 and a 2. A 3 and a 3 is also a lot better than a 3 and a 1. Right? Like, with Earthly Serenity 1, you're looking at a thing where, like, you might have only put down, like, you might succeed by 3, right? And then it's just like, well, now I'm never going to use it again, right? With the Earthly Serenity 4, I saw Bryn did this, where he only used, like, he succeeded by a certain amount, but he spent enough charges that he still was able to get a positive tempo healing action in the future. And I think you're less likely to do that with Earthly Serenity 1. Oh, all this shit. I think all of these are good cards. All of them. I think there's like... They have their homes where they're great, but you also have to buy them, find them, draw them. Yeah. I do think that there's one that I think is the best of them. It's probably Prophetic. Like, if there's one that's best of them, it's probably Prophetic. But I don't think I will look at any of these cards and say that this is, like this is more like a gravy upgrade than it is must. And if it's a must, your deck probably has a problem. Just gonna say it. Neutrals. In the thick of it. Gonna drink some water. Okay. Give me a second. Just gonna rest my voice. We're at 2 hours and 13 minutes. I won't round up. We'll round down. In the thick of it, permanent 1 per deck. Purchase a deck creation. When you purchase it, suffer 2 total physical and or mental trauma, then earn 3 experience. I'm still where I was. I'm still where I was where I don't like this card, but for a different reason. My thought process was that 2 trauma isn't worth 3 experience. And now it's more so the fact that 2 trauma is too easy for 3 experience. I think that it works best with its intended purpose of being a synergy piece for Down the Rabbit Hole and the Edge of the Earth spells. I'm happy when my decks don't have it, and I am happy when I have decks that can take advantage of it. The problem is that its downside is much too minor at this point. But I also, like, I do enjoy it now, like, with, as someone in chat said, with Vincent Lee, I think this card also goes up in the value of the fact that there's a benefit from it. I do think that its problem is, though, that the fact that it's now too soft, that it becomes a thing where you need a reason, like, you need to go out of your way to not take it, right? For me, I like taking it if I have a reason to take it. Like, if there is a reason for my deck to take in the thick of it. And if I'm just taking it because I want 3 experience, I think that's a fault of the card. Because then it's like, it's an easy choice. It's an easy choice, right? I think overall, though, this is a very hard card to gauge the strength of on this scale, right? Because it's so different. And you really don't feel the effects of it after scenario 1. Right? So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put this up here because I think it follows the same problems that a lot of these other cards kind of do, right? Where by the design of the card, you need to look for a reason to not take it. I don't think it's on the same power levels of these. If I had to give this like a power level, it probably would be a good to great. But that doesn't matter if we're in the thick of it because it's very different. And I think because, as what I said at the start of the video 2 hours and like 16 minutes ago, if the card warps your deck building choices because you have to go out of your way to not play it, that makes it an issue. And that's why I'm putting it in the busted category. Heavy Furs. After you reveal a non-auto-fail symbol on a Chaos token, deal 1 damage to it, cancel that Chaos token, and return to the bag. Reveal a new Chaos token. I think it's good. It's a fine card. If it's in your level 0 deck, it's going to do work. But I don't think it's particularly impressive. The more I look at this card, the worse it gets. I can believe that too. Because it's like, especially like when you realize it's symbol and not just like a not just like a -5. You draw the -5 and you're like, then you draw the skull and you're like, oh, this fucking does nothing. But I don't think it's particularly bad. It's just, it's fine. It's good. It's good. Maybe if you ask me again next year, it'll be a fine. Sled Dog. 3 cost asset. You may include up to 4 of these in your deck. Up to 2 Sled Dogs take up an ally slot. Exhaust it. Exhaust X Sled Dogs. Move X times. Exhaust X Sled Dogs. Fight. You get plus X, where X is the for this attack instead of standard damage. This attack deals X damage. Yeah, no, like that's the thing that like dogs is now it's an archetype. It's its own deck that you build around. You don't just like put doggos into your deck and you're like, I'm going to play with these doggos and I also have this beat dog and this guard dog for some reason. Like you're playing when you want to like when you want to actually use the guard dogs, you will need to build around it, right? Sorry, the sled dogs, not the guard dogs. Sorry, my brain, I haven't actually had breakfast this morning, so I haven't eaten anything. I'm running on empty right now. The sled dogs, like you have to build around them to get the best use out of them. And I think that's perfectly fine. Do I think they're great? No. Do I think they're bad? No. That means they're good. I think they're good. I think they're good. And I think the decks built around sled dogs are impressive, but they're by no means either great. They're cool. It's a cool archetype. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad it's actually also pretty easy to get online. There's a lot of cool tools for it, especially tools for don't have a home elsewhere, which is really nice. They got better with the new motivational speech card that just came out in Scarlet Keys. I think I agree with Superfang. Guard Dogs is an archetype that's going to exist forever, and anytime there's ally synergy, it's going to get better. And can Leo also do the sleight of man to get dogs, and then just like take a bite, and then that dog comes back and he can play it next turn? That does seem sick. Like I said, anytime allies get synergy, sled dogs are gonna get synergy. So it's gonna be an archetype that exists forever because it is Sleight of Dog. That's the new upgrade. That's the new name for it. Rod of Animalism. So while I think that sled dogs are good, I don't think Rod of Animalism is good. I don't like Rod of Animalism. I think Rod of Animalism lives down in the fine tier. Because realistically, your first two guard dogs don't even get the discount. Right? You don't... Like, it doesn't have time. It doesn't give you a positive tempo for the resources until you have your third and fourth dog get reduced by it. I think buying a charisma for 3 experience is just better. Actually, going back to in the thick of it, sled dogs, I would take in the thick of it just to get a charisma off the bat. And that's actually like warranted for your deck construction, right? Then you don't have to worry about your dogs. Then you don't have to worry about slots. You just have your 4 slots for your dogs. Yeah. Last card. Wow, we had two of our spoilers were in neutrals. Never realized that until like right now. Call for backup. 1 cost, 2 experience, synergy, 1 at a time, in any order. If you control a guardian card, no, a rogue card, you move to a connected location. Guardian, deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location. Seeker card, discover a clue your location. Survivor card is heal a damage, and Mystic is heal a horror. I think the card's good. If you get Seeker and Rogue, you're happy. It irks me that the classes are out of order. Trash card. That's you know what, I regret playing it now that I realize that. I think the card's, yeah, I think it's good. I don't think it's fine. I mean, I think it's like it's better than fine. I think that like if you get 3 of them off, it's good, right? Like if you move, get a clue, and heal, that's probably worth it, right? If you do all 5, it's Christmas, baby. I think the card's good. I think it's above fine though. I think it does more than most of these ones. Wow. That's it. We're done. All of the Edge of the Earth cards are re-ranked in 2 hours and 23 minutes. Wow. All right, so why don't we just go through. What is your favorite card for this expansion? Sweeping Kick. I think Sweeping Kick is my favorite card from this expansion. Second is probably Brandakathuga. Black Market's a great card, but I do think Sweeping Kick's it's just, there's so much fucking efficiency packed in this card. And what do I love more than anything else? My wife. But then, efficiency. In that order, exactly. Alright, let's go. So, there's only 4 cards from this encounter. From this, set that I think are actually like below rate, right? I think that overall though, this is a very nice set. And as I said, like cards are at a point now where they don't really get like, there's like very hard chance to get very bad cards in this game. They all kind of have homes now. It's just like how well they exceed in those homes. So as I said, we'd have a few cards in the fine. The majority of the cards are in good. Because, like, most of the cards in this box are good. And that's true for, like, all boxes of this game now. A lot of good stuff here. We have a bunch of great cards. These cards are all great. And then, like I said, a few fantastic and a few busted cards. Busted are all obviously all there for their own unique reasons, as we talked about this. But that's it. We're done. And yeah, I agree, Superfang. I'm also excited this year to do this next year with Scarlet Keys. As we like as we talk about the newest expansion for Arkham Horror that's called like Tremors from Down Below, and it's all about Shut-a-Mill and all that. Now, rating them against each other within their tiers. Could you imagine? I would rather die, because I want to eat lunch and I have to go pick up my copy of Scarlet Keys, chat. I gotta go pick up my copy of Scarlet Keys, and then film the unboxing video that I gotta do. All right, well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate everyone who hung out with me live on Twitch. This is a lot more fun to do with chat. I like bouncing ideas off of you, getting your input. My apologies for... Blur is probably realistically better than I give it credit for. I'm going to say that. Realistically, it's probably better than I give it credit for. But, you know, I'm a stickler. I hate spending an action to then spend an action to evade. But Blur pays it back. It does. It does, okay? I'm going to go before I keep talking about Blur some more. Thanks so much for watching. As always, GG's.